Oh, we're on.
We're on.
This is so exciting, a life in the theater. So, I'm glad you're joining us, if you're joining us. Welcome to Quarantine Theater. So, today...
A different voice.
I did, that was very... Now they're not going to know. You've changed our brand. So today we're doing a second part of Love Letters by A.R. Gurney. We had a lot of fun reading it last week. We're going to be better this week.
We're doing this in three sections.
Or more, maybe, depending on how much of it we read. But it's such sweet writing that we really enjoyed it and wanted to share it with you. So if you didn't see the last one, this is basically a piece of theater that's intended to be read by two actors sitting side by side, facing the audience. And it's basically reading the love letters between two people, Melissa and Andy, across their lifetime. And last week we did it from second grade up until about high school, and now we're picking up in high school. So this, let's see.
And it's used very successfully
Yes.
for fundraising.
Very successfully. I've done it twice for
Yeah, me
fundraisers.
too.
Hello, Donna. How you doing? Ingrid, are you out there? It's a very crowd-pleasing piece. Now, it's interesting. It's very much kind of seated in Yankee upper middle class. It's very, very white Protestant, which is much in the news these days. So I hope you don't cringe at the occasional political incorrectness of it. But we are throwing caution to the wind, and we're going ahead anyway. So, are you ready, Melissa?
Yes, I am.
Oh, it's very nice. You're putting a heart around your name.
I am.
That's very, very method.
Because I think that's what she would do.
Okay. See. Nice working with pros. So here we are. Love Letters by A.R. Gurney, Part 2. Andy's Letter. School is going well, I think. In English, we're now finishing up Milton's Paradise Lost. In history, we're studying the causes and the results of the 30 Years' War. I think the Catholics caused it. In Latin, we're translating Cicero's orations against Catiline. How long, O Catiline, will you abuse our patience? When I get home, I'm going to use it against my little brother. In French, we have to sit and listen to Mr. Thatcher read out loud all the parts of Andromache by Jean Racine. It's supposed to be a great masterpiece, but the class comes right after football practice, and so it's a little hard to stay awake. In sacred studies, we have to compare and contrast all 4 Gospels. It's hard to believe they're talking about the same guy. In math, they're trying to factor with 2 unknowns. Sometimes I let X be me and Y be you, and you'd be amazed what comes out. My grades are pretty good. They post your weekly average outside study hall, and last week I got a 97 or 91.7 average overall. Not bad, eh? I got a letter from my grandfather telling me not to be first in my class because only the Jews are first. I wrote him and I told him I wasn't first, but even if I was, there are no Jews here. We have a few Catholics, but they're not that smart, actually. I don't think you'd be smart and a Catholic at the same time. Now I have to memorize the last 5 lines of Paradise Lost. Hold on a second. Wait. Okay, I'm back. Now, that wasn't so hard. Now maybe I can write it down for you. Here goes. Some natural tears dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them, where to choose their place of rest, and Providence their guide. They, hand in hand, with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. There you are. I wrote it without looking at the book, and it's all right too, because I just checked it, word by word. It's not so bad, is it? In fact, it sounds great if you recite it in the bathroom when no one's in the shower or taking a dump. Love, Andy.
Thanks for your letter, which was a little too long. I guess you have a lot of interesting things to say, Andy, but some of them are not terribly interesting to me. I want to hear more about your feelings. For instance, here are my feelings. This place stinks. But I don't want to go back home because Hooper McPhail stinks. And I haven't heard of another boarding school that doesn't stink, which means that life stinks in general. Those are my feelings for this week. Write soon, love, me.
One feeling I have almost all the time is that I miss my dog, Porgy. Remember him? Our black cocker who peed in the vestibule when you patted him when we came back to our house after the skating party? I miss him all the time. Some of the masters up here have dogs, and when I pet them, I miss Porgy even more. I dream about him. I wrote a composition about him for English called Will He Remember? And I got a 96 on it. It was all about how I remember him, but will he remember me? I have a picture of him on my bureau right next to my parents. By the way, could I have a picture of you too?
Here's a picture of me taken at the Hartford bus station. I was all set to run away and then decided not to. This is all you get until I get my braces off Christmas vacation. Don't look at my hair. I'm changing it. By the way, do you know a boy there named Spencer Willis? There's a girl here, Annie Abbott, who met him in Edgartown last summer and thinks he's cute. Would you ask him what he thinks of her?
Spencer Willis says Annie Abbott is a potential nympho. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's true.
Annie says to tell Spencer he's a total turkey. Tell him she'd write and say so herself, but she's scared of barfing all over the page.
Do you get out for Thanksgiving? We won't because of the war.
We do, but I don't. I've been grounded just for smoking one lousy Chesterfield out behind the art studio. So now I have to stay here and eat stale turkey with Cubans and Californians. That's all right. I was supposed to meet Mommy in New York, but it looks like she can't be there anyway because she's going to Reno to divorce Hooper McPhail. Yippee! Yay! He was a jerk and a pill. And he used to bother me in bed, if you must know.
I like seeing you Christmas vacation, particularly with your braces off. I really like necking with you at the Watson's Rumpus Room. Will you go steady with me?
I don't believe in going steady. It's against my religion. I hated that stuff with all those pairs of pimply people in the Watson's basement, leaning on each other, swaying to that dumb music with all the lights off. If that's going steady, I say screw it. My mother says you should meet as many boys as you can before you have to settle down and marry. Marry one of them. That way, you will make less of a mistake. It didn't work for her. But maybe it will work for me.
Can we at least go to the movies together during spring vacation?
I don't know, Andy. I like seeing you, but I don't want to go home much anymore. My mother gets drunk a lot, if you must know, and comes into my room all the time and talks endlessly about I don't know what because she slurs her words. The only really good time I had was when I came over to your house Christmas Eve. That was fun. Singing around the piano, hanging up stockings, playing Chinese checkers with your brother, helping your brother with the gravy. I liked all that. You may not have as much money as me, but you've got a better family. So, spring vacation, I'm going to visit my grandmother in Palm Beach. Ho-hum! At least I'll get a tan. P.S. Enclosed is a picture I drew of your dog, Porgy, who I remember from Christmas Eve. The nose is wrong, but don't you think the eyes are good?
I'm stroking with the 4th crew now. Yesterday I rowed number 2 on the 3rd. Tomorrow I may row number 6 on the 2nd and number 4 on the 5th. Who knows? You get out there and you work your butt off, and then a launch comes alongside, looks you over, and the next day they post a list on the bulletin board saying who's rowing what. And they never tell you what you did right or wrong, or whether you were shooting your slide or bending your back or what. They just post the latest results for all to see. Now, some days I think I'm doing really well and I get sent down 2 crews. And one day I was obviously hacking around and they moved me up. There's no rhyme or reason. I went to Mr. Clark, who's the head of the rowing team, and I said, look, Mr. Clark, there's something wrong about this system. People are constantly moving up and down and no one knows why. It doesn't seem to have to do with whether you're good or bad or rowing weak or strong or coordinated or uncoordinated. It all seems random, sir. And Mr. Clark said, that's life, Andy. And he walked away. Well, maybe that's life, but it doesn't have to be life. You could easily make rules, which made sense, so the good ones moved up and the bad ones moved down and the people knew what was going on. I'm serious. I'm thinking about going to law school later on.
Your last letter was too much about rowing. Do you know a boy there named Steve Scully? I met him down in Florida, and he said he went to your school and was on the 1st crew. He said he was the fastest rower in the boat. Is that true, or was he lying? I think he may have been lying.
Steve Scully is lying. He doesn't even row. And if it did, if he rowed faster than everyone else in the same boat, he'd mess the whole thing up. He said he got to 2nd base with you. Is that true?
Steve Scully is a lying son of a bitch, and you can tell him I said so.
Will you be around this summer? I think I've got a summer job caddying, so no more camp, thank God.
I'll be visiting my father in California. I haven't seen him in 4 years. He has a new wife, and I have 2 half-sisters now. It's like going to find a whole new family. I hope.
Do you like California? Write me about California. How's your 2nd family? Did you get my letters? I checked with your mother, and I had the correct address. How come you haven't answered me all summer? Okay, back to school. Hope everything's okay with you. Did you get my letters from out there in California, or did you have a wicked stepmother who just confiscated them?
I don't want to talk about California. Ever. For a while, I thought I had 2 families, but now I know I really don't have any. You're very lucky, Andy. You don't know it, but you are. But maybe I'm lucky too, in another way. I was talking to Mrs. Wadsworth, who comes in from Hartford to teach us art. She says, I have a real talent both in drawing and in painting, and she's going to try me out in pottery as well. She says some afternoon she's going to take me just by myself to her studio in Hartford, and we'll do life drawings of her lover in a jock strap. Don't laugh. She says art and sex are sort of the same thing.
Dear Melissa, I have 4 questions, so please concentrate. 1, will you come up to the midwinter dance? 2, if so, can you arrive on the 11:22 Friday night train? 3, does the rector's wife have to write your headmistress telling her where you'll be staying? 4, does the rector's wife also have to write to your mother?
Answer is yes, except for my mother, who won't care.
I have to tell you this right away, right off the bat. I'm really goddamn mad at you. I invite you up here for the only dance my class will be having all year. I meet you at the train. I buy you a vanilla milkshake. I bring you out to school in a taxi. I score 2 goals for you during the hockey game the next afternoon. I buy the $8 gardenia corsage. I make sure your dance card is filled with the most regular guys in the school. And then, what happens? I now hear that you sneaked off with Bob Bartram during the Vienna Waltz and necked with him in the coat room. I heard that from 2 guys. And then Bob himself brought it up yesterday at breakfast. He says he French kissed you and he touched both your breasts. I tried to punch him out, but Mr. N-Buddy restrained me. I'm really sore, Melissa. I consider this to be a betrayal of everything I hold near and dear, particularly since you would hardly even let me kiss you goodnight after we had cocoa with the rectors. And you know what I'm talking about, too. So don't expect any more letters from me or any telephone calls, either during spring vacation. Sincerely yours.
Sorry. I hate that Bob Bartram. I hated him when I necked with him. I know you won't believe this, but it's true. You can be attracted to someone you hate. Well, maybe you can't. But I can, so all right, I necked with him. But he never touched my chest. And if he says he did, he should be strung up by his testicles. You tell him that for me at breakfast. Anyway, I got carried away, Andy, and I'm a stupid bitch, and I'm sorry. I felt so guilty about it that I didn't want to kiss you or after the cocoa. Besides, Andy, gulp. How do I say this? With you, it's different. You're like a brother. I've never had a brother, and I don't have too many friends, so you're both, Andy. I mean it. You're it. My mother says you must never say that to a man, but I'm saying it anyway, and it's true. Maybe if I didn't know you so well, maybe if I hadn't grown up with you, maybe if we hadn't written all these goddamn letters all the time, I could have kissed you the way I kissed Bob Bartram. So, please, let's see each other spring vacation. Please, I count on you, Andy. I need you. I think sometimes I'd go stark raving mad if I didn't have you to hold on to. Much love. Happy Easter! I know no one sends Easter cards except maids, but here's mine anyway, drawn with my own hot little hands. I drew those tears on that corny bunny on the left because it misses you so much. But maybe I've just made it all the more cornier. Greetings from Palm Beach. Decided to visit my grandmother. Yawn, yawn. I'm a wizard, backgammon and gin rummy. Here you took Gretchen Lascelles to see Quo Vadis and sat in the loge and put your arm around her and smoked. Naughty, naughty. Back at school, but not for long, that's for sure. Caught nipping gin in the woods with Bubbles Harriman. Have to pack my trunk by tonight and be out tomorrow. Mommy's frantically pulling strings all over the eastern seaboard for another school. Mrs. Wadsworth, my art teacher, thinks I should chuck it all and go to Italy and study art. What do you think? Oh, please write, Andy, please. I need your advice. Or are you too busy thinking about Gretchen Lascelles?
To answer your question about Italy, I think you're too young to go. My mother said she had a roommate once who went to Italy in the summer, and the Italians pinched her all the time in the rear end. And Mother says she became thoroughly overstimulated. So I think you should go to another school, you graduate, go to college, and maybe after that, when you're more mature, you can go to Italy. That's my advice, for what it's worth, which probably is not much the way things are going between us these days.
Here I am at Emma Willard's Academy for Young Lesbians. Help! Let me out of here! Please, ça change. Please, c'est le same shit. Are you coming straight home this June? Because I am. I want to see you. Or are you still in love with Gretchen Lascelles?
For your information, I'm not taking Gretchen Lascelles out anymore. I brought her home after the Penny's party, and my father caught us on the couch, and he told me he didn't care what kind of girls I took out as long as I didn't bring them around my mother, even though my mother was up in bed. Still, I guess Gretchen can be embarrassing to older people.
I hope to see you in June then.
Can't come home in June, sorry. I have to go to be a counselor at a school camp for poor kids from the urban slums. See, I'm vice president of my class now, and I'm supposed to set an example of social responsibility through July, all the way. So I'll be writing you letters, though, and I hope you'll write me.
I don't want to write letters all the time. I really don't. I want to see you.
You just really need to have more confidence in your letter writing ability. Sometimes you manage to attain a very vivid style.
Won't you please just stop writing about writing and come home and go to the Campbell sports party before you go up to that stupid camp? Please! I believe I behave better when you're around, in person. Please.
End of part 2. Hey, thanks for joining us. Isn't this sweet stuff? We're having a good time, aren't we? Yeah.
And we'll see what happens to them.
Yes, so tune in next week for part 3.
The final part, or the other 4.
The final part, unless it's not the final part.
Oh.
So, talk to you soon. Goodbye.